Welcome back, hopefully, welcome back to another episode of Red on Air. I am your host, Mason Brown, joined today by my wonderfully talented friend, Josh Goring, and we are going to be talking about his career in voice acting and his personal journey. You might know him from some fun mobile games like Hello Hero, Epic Battle as one of the main characters, Marco, to things like Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins. You've been all over the place, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fairly well, I suppose. I mean, we are still in the middle of a pandemic, but our situation up here in Vancouver has been more fortunate than other places, so I'd say fairly decent.
That's good. Well, I guess we'll just dive right in to the first question.
All right.
And I'm not sure if you've watched any of the episodes we've done up until this point, but it's a same format with every episode. It's 4 standard questions, and the last question, the 5th one, is sort of the roulette question, as I call it. So that one will be the one where it's random number generated, and it could be an option for another really insightful answer, or it could be something like, what's your favorite food? Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So number 1.
All right.
What made you interested in becoming a voice actor?
For someone like me, who's been just, raised by television, you just watch everything you can because, what else are you supposed to do? I went to a convention, I think about 2005, up at Simon Fraser University.
Right.
Because I lived near there at the time. And there was a panel on voice acting. And a light went off in the back of my head, like, holy crap, there are people who do this for a living. They are paid to do this. And I'm like, I have to figure out how this is done. So I watched the panel, I stuck around afterwards, and I talked to some of the moderators who did it. And then, my interest was hooked, just like that.
Right. It can just be something as simple as that sometimes.
It can be.
Yeah, I just watched a thing, and it sparked this love inside of me for it. And it's such a cool community to be a part of. Super supportive community.
It is.
Yeah. Who was on the actual panel itself? Do you remember?
2005.
I know that's
that
a
was
while
15
ago.
years ago, so
Yeah,
I don't...
That's okay. That's okay if you don't remember. That is all that matters really in that is that you went to this cool panel and it sparked a love for your career.
It did.
That's awesome, man. Okay, well, we're going to jump ahead into number 2 then. I like that. Knock it out super fast. What is a project or franchise that you would like to be on?
A project or franchise I would like to be on.
Yeah.
I'd love to, be part of the Persona series. Like, when Persona Q came out a few years ago, they had this character with dark skin. His name was Zen. And I really wanted to be him so bad, but the Persona series is all recorded down in LA, and I'm up here in Vancouver, so
right.
That's one shot against me. And then 2 was also, I'm not as established a voice actor as, a lot of the other people are. Like, I'm still kind of finding my footing. I'm still trying to get my demos all up to snuff and up to par. I've been lucky in the opportunities that I have gotten, but at the same time, I know I'm not quite there yet, but little by little, I do feel myself getting better and being able to really just draw inspiration from people around me and see their performances like, oh, okay, they wanted this kind of voice while I was giving that kind of voice. So there is a bit of a difference after the product comes out and I can see the performances and like, oh, that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. And you were on with something there that we've mentioned, I think once or twice before in the podcast. But it's a career that you grow in. It's a form of acting. So you're never going to be, there's always going to be stuff to learn.
There is
about it.
There is,
whether it's from a technical side or from a technical side, I mean, and then like a logistical side and then a stage presence side. It's super interesting.
Yeah, my weakness, I think, is the technical stuff. I'm no engineer. The most I can do is, point, click, play with the levels. I'm not really someone who does a lot with the effects or the EQ or anything. Like, a lot of my auditions are just, recording myself, making sure I don't peak or anything, and just sending it off and crossing my fingers and hope that they take it, basically.
Right. No, I totally get that. I'm not super proficient with the tech stuff, and that's a thing that I'm always trying to learn. For me, I gotta upgrade my microphone. Like it's time to get a new one. Sadly, this one is just giving me some sass.
Yeah.
On my last couple recordings I've been doing, so it's time to let her fly and get something new. Yeah.
I actually have to update my entire thing. Like right now, it's my laptop and this blue snowball USB microphone and a Chaotica eyeball and a double pop filter.
Oh, wow.
But I've been told repeatedly, you need a preamp, you need an XLR mic. My computer is like just about 10 years old right now, so I am going to have to switch it out fairly soon.
Yeah.
And I am going to have to update stuff. My thing is, the room where I record is actually my bedroom, and unfortunately I can't really sound treat it. And I can't use my closet because 1, it's too small, 2, it's packed to the brim, and 3, I can barely move in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I do eventually update everything, I'm going to have to find like a place with an actual larger closet that I can move around in and soundproof. Like, I was looking at my grandfather's house recently, and he's got a nice little closet that I think that I could use, but that's a bit of a complicated situation at this point.
Man, like whisper rooms they're not small and they're not necessarily the cheapest thing, so it is always kind of, I think, one of the first tasks that people will kind of run into when trying to do a home setup is finding tech that works, and then just finding even a space just to operate within. Just even that is a pain in the ass sometimes.
I know, it's like my room is just, there's stuff everywhere. Like, even if I were to purchase a whisper room or something, I'd have nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
That's the main problem. Like, I'm kind of jealous of all these other voice actors who can get whisper rooms or they have larger closets, and that's part of the reason I haven't been really able to set up my own booth at home, like an actual proper recording booth. My setup is mostly for auditions right now.
Right, same.
And I kind of have to rely on, okay, I have to go into a studio, like actual studio downtown, to record if they book me, which also makes it a problem because with all the online work that's going on right now, my stuff is good for recording auditions, but in terms of actual recording stuff with producers and stuff online, it is not up to par. Like, at the very least, I need to treat this room somehow.
Yeah, I get you. I'm stuffed in my closet with like barely an inch or 2 of wiggle room, and I just like put foam in here and it's working for what I need it to work for. Like, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and like a lot of times it's like they're just auditions. They're just auditions, they just want to see how you sound. If they need you, then, you can look into options at renting a studio for more professional stuff, but that costs money as well too. So it is kind of like, okay, I have a relatively easy setup, but at the same time I can't really do anything pro with it.
Exactly.
And that's the real kind of problem I'm facing right now, and I'm sure a lot of aspiring voice actors also face that problem too. Like, how do I treat my room? How do I get a booth properly set up? How do I have the right equipment? And there are some good tutorials out there on, how to build a booth properly, like I Want to Be a voiceactor.com by D. Bradley Baker.
Yes.
That's a great resource. Voiceover Voice Actor by Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt. Of course, there's some stuff with On the Mic training where they can teach you how to record, set up a good station, and hopefully make your own little booth. So there are good resources.
Yeah, and I appreciate you pointing out some of those places that people can go, especially ones like here in Vancouver that people can take a look at, because I don't know, when people jump into this podcast, some people might think we're, in the States, and we are not. We are definitely not in the States.
No, we're here in Vancouver. We're Canadian, eh? And I don't know, I just kind of feel like we're not in enough stuff recently.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be in more stuff. Like, there used to be a lot of anime up here. Not so much anymore, which kind of does make me sad, because that was one of the main reasons I wanted to get into voice acting. I wanted to be in an anime. And I can say I was in one, but I can't say which one yet because, NDA ninjas are everywhere.
God, that's a big mood. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you go, like, I go to a foreign place, I talk to people, they're there listening. I don't know how they are, but they are. And yeah, that's why it's, when the moment you sign that NDA, you can't tell anybody about what you do.
Yeah. You never know, man. Cool. Well, thank you for that little insight. We'll jump on into number 3. What is something you wish you could have told your past self or people starting out?
What could I have told my past self?
Yeah.
Well, I will admit my younger self was actually, bullied a lot and depressed. Mostly because like my interests, I was black. I was, in a lot of cases, I was the only black kid in my class.
Right.
I wore glasses. I wasn't interested in sports. All I talked about was television. I was good with computers, but that was more my dad's influence. And, for me, it was just, okay, I just trudge through here, make it through the day, and then go through it again the next day. And honestly, a lot of my childhood, I remember kind of being spent locked up in the library, just reading or using the computer.
Yeah.
And even like during having lunch hours at school, a lot of times I'd end up like either eating by myself or eating with a group of people. Wasn't really the most positive experience. Like it kind of felt like they were putting up with me, if anything.
Yeah.
And that actually did make me feel fairly depressed at certain points. And I probably to my past self, I'd say, it doesn't matter. If you want to get into voiceover, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, what you look like, your physicality, your tone of voice, how you speak, your interests. Like, none of that matters. Voiceover is all about the performance.
Yeah.
They're listening for your voice. How do you sound? And you can always improve how you sound by taking lessons, working and reading out loud, and just really just living your life. That's the one thing they never tell you in a lot of classes. Just go out and live your life, because then you have experiences to draw from when you go into the booth to perform. Yeah, like acting is, purveying life. And the only way you can purvey that life is to live it yourself. Either if it's good or it's bad, it doesn't matter as long as you have the experience to draw from. Because there's a whole lot of stuff I haven't experienced. And I think part of that comes through in my performance. Like I'm not really that experienced in life yet, but I try my best and I'm open to new things and trying to see where it'll lead me and being able to just do your best. Because in the end, that's kind of all that matters. The attempt that you made. It's better to try and fail than not try at all, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna cause me to put these tears in my eyes, man. That was gorgeous. I love that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm not a motivational speaker, man. I'm just... Part of this is regurgitating stuff I've heard before. The other part of it is I've kind of learned to empathize more with other people, being someone who's been, bullied and picked on and marginalized for the majority of their life. So, being able to pass on encouragement and kindness and just, being a person who genuinely wishes the best for someone else, that's important. We need more of that in this world, especially at this point in time. 2020 is a really weird year right now, and I do think we do need more kindness.
Yeah.
We do need more consideration for others. We need to be more sensitive. We do need to consider that the person that we're talking to, they're a human being just like you. It doesn't matter where they come from, what their interests are, what their background is. They have thoughts and feelings like you, and being able to connect with, understand, empathize, and treat them just like you would yourself is something that I don't think a lot of people truly know how to understand. Like for them, it can be hard, due to whatever things they've gone through. It can be hard to empathize with someone else.
Yeah.
But you can learn to do it. It just takes time and practice, like anything in life. And I do hope that whoever's listening to this are able to really connect and understand that, we're doing this, we're pursuing our interests, we're pursuing our passions, and we want you to come along with us. We want to see your passion. We want to encourage your story. We want to support you too. And I hope some of these listeners can get a feeling of that from some of these conversations that this podcast is having with fellow voice actors.
Yeah, empathy is so important, incredibly right now. And I'm actual empathy versus sympathy. There's people often I find will get confused about what one means over the other. But yeah, just it doesn't take anything extra to treat people right.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And I know that you just said, these things I'm stating are a bit of a regurgitation of things that I've said in the past or heard in the past, but I think that they ring true. I think that those things are incredibly important pieces of information that have stuck around.
They are.
That you can learn from for a reason.
Well, yeah, and the reason people keep repeating it is because no one has understood this. Like, I posted a message recently about the whole, Black Lives Matter movement on Facebook, and it was like, yeah, I shouldn't be telling you that Black Lives Matter. This should be basic.
Yeah.
Until everyone understands this, we're going to have to repeat this as many times as we need to until it becomes universal and just a basic necessity of living. Treat everyone with respect, no matter who or what or where they come from.
I can't say it any better, and I really don't want to step over the importance of it coming from you. I think that's I got nothing else to say on it, so I guess we'll move on to number 4.
All right, I got other stuff to say about my career, but I'm sure that'll be one of the later questions. So potentially.
Well, number 4 is, what is a question that you want to be asked, or something that you wished people inquired about voiceover more often?
Well, I suppose one would be, the hours you have to put in, because say you're going in for an audition or something, and the producer or the client, they want the line read a certain way, that you underestimate the amount of time it takes to get that line right before you submit. You have to record it a whole bunch of different ways. Like, I have spent 1 or 2 hours on several auditions just trying to get 1 or 2 lines to sound right. And that takes up a whole lot of time, just trying to make sure you phrase it right, your delivery is right. I actually just found out recently that I myself, when I do voiceover, I sound slightly off. But maybe that's because I was also diagnosed with autism or Asperger's syndrome when I was 16, so that does affect my verbal communication a little bit. So how I say things and phrase things and tone things, I've been told I can come off a bit monotone. So that's something I have to keep in mind when I do performances, when I record myself. Okay, am I being too monotone? Am I, varying it up enough that there are peaks and valleys in anything I read? Even now, I'm kind of second guessing myself. Am I coming across as too monotone in this interview? Am I, speaking properly? Am I getting everything across that I need to? Because my personal problem, being someone with Asperger's, is my communication. I've been told I talk too fast. I'm very narrow-minded. I can just kind of be very monotonous when I speak. So that's something I have to keep in mind whenever I do voiceover now, and that actually takes a lot more energy out of me, which I didn't actually think it would. And I think another thing that would probably be a question is, okay, can you make a living out of voiceover? Yes, you can if you're full-time, but a lot of us, it's a part-time side gig. A lot of us have actual day jobs. And 9 times out of 10, the day job is what you're going to be doing. And you can't let that discourage you. I mean, keep pursuing voiceover, yes. Maybe someday you'll get to the point where you can go into a fully sustainable voiceover career. But at the same time, don't focus everything on it. Live your life, do your job, pay your bills, spend time with friends and family. Don't just focus on voiceover. Live your life. Let voiceover be a contribution, a small part of the life you live day to day. Don't ignore everything else.
No, I will let you know. Your recording is great, and here on the podcast, we don't expect people to be super prim and proper with how they speak. It's about representing you. So don't worry, man. You sound
good.
Great. If that
it relieves a little pressure,
sort of pressure. No pressure on. No, nothing on needing to sound like you're in a booth. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know what Audacity is doing right now, but my audio keeps scooting up and peaking, and then I have to pull it back down. So my audio is probably going to be a little whack on this interview. I think I'm the one that people are going to have to worry about, not you. You're good.
That's good, because again, I'm no tech guru, because most I can do is just record this and then send it to you.
Me either.
And that's the most I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I need from you, man. Your time and your wisdom and just your half of the recording. That's all that is ever asked to come here in the sessions for Red on Air.
That's good.
All right, well, we'll do the last question here, man.
Okay.
And we're on great time, so random generation. Number 4 was the one that we got. So number 4... It could be your own, or it could be an impression. What's a personal favorite voice you like to do?
Well, we're born with the voice we have, and we have to learn to love our voice. So I would say, I kind of like my voice, but honestly, that's kind of, I wish my voice sounded better. If that sounds weird, like personally, I've read somewhere that our voices actually sound higher to us than to others.
Yeah.
Because we generate it, and half the reason we hate our voice is because we're hearing it higher than someone else would. So in terms of that, I would probably say I need to learn to love my voice first, embrace all it can do before I can actually say, yeah, I love my voice. In terms of actual voice I like to do, I grew up on a lot of Star Wars, so I like trying to do Emperor Palpatine, I really enjoyed doing this sort of voice. There is no hope. You, like your father, are now mine. Right now I'm sitting down, so I can't really do it that well, but you kind of get the idea.
That was good. You know what's really funny was not yesterday, but the day before at work, I had Palpatine lines stuck in my head and I was whispering them to myself. So that's super funny that's kind of come full circle here on the podcast that you're like, Palpatine.
Yeah. That's
the one that I really like doing. I will say this to you, that because, you're talking about learning to love your own voice, and that is something that I still to this day will have problems with myself, because I've just kind of stuck in my head that, like, with the quality of my voice, I'm going to sound like every stereotypical teenager in a cartoon ever. To me, that's what my voice sounds like.
No, dude, I wish I had your voice, man. Like, I'm continually surprised by, it's like, I talk to some voice actors like, I hate my voice, I wish it was better. It's like, are you kidding? I'd kill to have your voice. My voice sucks. Come on.
But you know what? That was the point I was trying to get to, was I don't think your voice sucks. I think because of the way that you speak, you have this, like, unintentional, and I say unintentional just because of what you've previously stated,
right? But
sort of unintentional air of, like, chill, of, like, just cool to your voice.
Oh
my god! Like even if you're a nervous wreck inside, dude, you've got this quality to your voice that I love, and I get to listen, obviously, because I edit the podcast, so I get to listen to this quality that everybody has in their voice. And like Hayden has sort of this, like, really energetic quality, and Asia had this sort of motherly quality to her voice, and Christian's got this great sort of pop of energy to his voice. But you've got this, like, to me, it's just like this, always like, yeah, everything's good, everything's cool, I don't have to worry about anything. Here we are, we're just hanging out, we're just doing a podcast. I love it, man. Like, talking to you feels like it's a breeze. I feel like I'm sitting down with someone I've known forever who's just super chill with anything I'm gonna tell them, whether it's a terrible joke or it's like the greatest news in my life. It's just like, yeah, cool, dude.
I have never been called cool in my life.
Aww.
Ever.
Aww.
You just made my life right now, so I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Oh, good. Well, you are very cool to me. You're a cool dude in my books. And if anybody else can't see that, then they are missing out. Bunch of chumps.
See if you can pass that along to a few girls.
You know what, man? I'll let them know. I'll let them know. Once we're allowed to crawl out of our caves.
Oh god, this my room right now is like, it's turning into a sauna.
Oh.
It's like, ugh. But this is the first time I've ever been told I was cool in my life. Like, I was the uncool nerd geek kid growing up, so being told I'm cool is like,
Nah, man, you know what, man? You gotta, sometimes it's that quality of your voice, like I said with mine, although I don't know if I could confidently 100% say I love my voice. That's something that you can go, cool, I recognize that there are pros to the way that I sound, and taking that and utilizing them, right?
Well, it's like, you're the only one who has your voice. No one else has it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even impressionists who do, characters of other celebrities or, people, they never truly completely match, the original voice. Everyone has their own voice that's unique to them that only they can do. The trick is learning what your voice can do, how you can do it, and just continuing to play with it over time. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't really understand or take for granted. You're the only you. And this world would be a whole lot poorer without you in it.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on. Josh, thank you again for coming on and being so cool and and doing the podcast with me today. I really, really appreciate it. I know you've been super busy lately and everybody's dealing with boatloads of stress and anxiety right now more than ever. I want to give you a platform right now to shout out anything that you want. If it's a project you're working on or if it's a Black Lives Matter charity that you want to talk about, I just want to give you the opportunity to do so right now.
All right. First off, I support Compassion, their charity who help fight poverty in poor nations. I'm sponsoring 2 kids in Burkina Faso, which is a West African country. That's actually where my Black heritage comes from. So I've been sponsoring 2 kids. They write to me all the time. You know, they're endlessly curious about the stuff that I'm up to, and being able to, you know, help them, lift them up out of poverty, help them get an education, make things a little better for them and their families is really amazing. So I would say, you know, if you can and you're able, please consider helping sponsor a child, especially a child in poverty. You could be the difference between having that child grow up with many opportunities to lift themselves up, as well as their friends and family, or just falling into another complacent system where they are just another one of the poor homeless people. So I would highly recommend sponsoring a child and doing so through Compassion.
And music-wise, you said you wanted to...
Yes, music-wise, I work with Strawberry Hill Music. We're a music production company. We work on music for anime and video games and documentaries, commercials, what have you. My boss is Raj Ramaya, and fun fact, he's done music for Yoko Kanno for Cowboy Bebop and Wolf's Rain, and he's been working recently with Kevin Penkin on music for Made in Abyss and Tower of God.
Ooh.
We've also got a record label called Ichigo, where we're working with music industry friends that we know about doing some anime covers, as well as moving into original music. And you can find out more about us on social media. Strawberry Hill Music is what you're going to be looking for. I have a Twitter right now. Yeah, so definitely sponsor through Compassion. Check us out with Strawberry Hill Music. Oh, the one thing I can say that was really cool to me was that I've worked with Yoko Kanno, like on a session Starducks, which is kind of like, you know those videos where you have all these musicians playing together?
Mm-hmm.
They've done that for Cowboy Bebop, and when they did Tank, I'm actually the guy who's in the intro and doing the tag at the end, you know, the whole, okay, everybody, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. That was me. I got to do the intro to that, and it was the coolest thing ever.
Amazing. That is so cool. I mean, arguably, like, the song itself is great, but that is the most iconic part of the song in my mind, is that very intro little blurb.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like Cowboy Bebop. I've been connected with that thing in like 3 different ways now. Maybe a 4th if things work out, but again, I can't really talk about that.
That's fine.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I'm a huge fan of Yoko Kanno. More people should listen to her. If you've never heard of her, go watch Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. Go watch Cowboy Bebop. Go watch Wolf's Rain. She is an anime music goddess. She can do any genre and maybe even create a few new ones.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to end on if there's nothing else you want to shout out.
Let's see. I don't really have anything too much aside from, you know, hopefully follow me on social media. I'd love to hear your story and, you know, share some insights and let you know how I'm doing with the whole voiceover journey, because it's a marathon, not a race. Eventually you will get to your destination. It just may take longer than it will for you, than it might be for someone else, and you can't get, you know, upset or jealous or angry about it. You just work on you. You do you, the rest will follow.
You do you. Well, as always, I will tell everybody to stay happy and stay healthy out there. Josh, a million thanks, a million more times over for coming on.
I had to, man. It was like my first interview ever. So, like, I had to.
I am honored. I am honored to be the first one to sit down with you, and I hope that you get many more auditions or not audition, well, auditions, yes, but interviews down the line soon enough about music or about voice acting or whatever it is.
I hope so too, because I do have some stuff I do want to say about it, but first I got to get some roles going.
I know, I'm jealous. I'm real jealous. Well, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Have a good rest of your day, and we are off air.